Okay, so someone wanted to see a demonstration of how to have the object, the hidden object, be animated when you click on it. Because right now when you click on it, it just disappears. It doesn't bring it to the front, it doesn't scale, doesn't fade, it just disappears. So there's a variety of things that you could do when you click on an object. One of them is you could just have the sparkle appear there too, but the example they want to see is of the object playing an animation sequence. So let's click on one of these objects, and we're going to duplicate it. That way it already has the box collider and the scripts attached to it. So we'll copy, we'll paste, we'll rename it cat. We need to copy its corresponding text as well. So we'll copy that, paste that, and let's call that, just to keep track of how many we've got, I believe we have said we have 8, so let's call this object 9. So click on the cat and just drag and drop object 9 to replace object 2. Sparkle can stay. Okay. So for cat, we're going to now add an animation. So you just click on animation, and it lets you know that cat is what's being animated, so you know you have the right one. Click on create. Let's call this found SEQ, so found sequence. This plays when it's found. Now, just to be clear, calling it that is for your own knowledge. That doesn't actually give any instructions to Unity. And now we just drag and drop the cat images that I imported in between videos. We put them up here. Let's change the rate down to like 13. It's a very small motion, it's just kind of meowing. So we'll play it slow so it's more obvious what's going on. And we want it to play out and then back. If you want it just to play out, you can stop there. If you want it to play back, then you just drag and drop these in reverse order. It's a very easy way to increase the length of an animation sequence without taking really much more memory and without having to draw a whole bunch of frames. You can just zoom in and out, because if you just point and then turn the mouse wheel, that's what you're seeing is happening there. Okay. So our cat object. Now you don't see the cat because there's a sprite. So since there's a sprite renderer, by default you'll see the sprite in design mode, but when you play it you won't see the sprite, it'll go right into the animation. So the animation, or the animator, overrides the sprite renderer, so that's something that we're going to have to address. And so there's our cat meowing, and I believe it should already work because it's got all the scripts attached to it. It does, we just have to make one change. This, the text object, I forgot to move and forgot to change. So I won't run it again, though we just saw it and we saw that it worked. Okay, so now we only want that animation to play when you click on the object. So we need to give a new script rather than trying to, well, actually, let's bake it into click control because we don't want the normal sequence to happen. So let's go into click control, and on mouse down is where the clicking is checked for. So if the mouse is clicked down on the object that the script is attached to, then it does a bunch of stuff. Now what we need to do is right now it checks to see if the object name is gem, it checks to see if the object name is ball, and then it resets clicks to make sure you're not penalized, and it instantiates the prefab. So what we need to do is we need to check so this checks to see if the name is ball. So we want to do something something else entirely for the cat. So else you don't actually have to do this with the brackets. I just don't like the default alignment. It doesn't mean anything to me, so I like to try to clean it up a little bit. So what we've said is before you check to see if the word is ball, if the name of the object is ball, and if this variable is greater than 1. If those are not true, then it would just do this: destroy the game object, destroy object name text, and destroy and reduce the variable remaining items by 1. So destroy the object it clicked on, destroy its corresponding text, and then do that. However, what we want to do is we want to check if the object name is cat. And we don't have to check for the ball. If object name is cat, then get component, so what we're going to do is we're saying that if the object name is cat, so if you've clicked on the object and its name is cat, we're going to enable the animator, which means that by default it's not going to be enabled. So in the start section, actually we're going to use this whole routine up here in the start section. So just as we have to do this if the object is the backpack, we're going to do this if the object is the cat, and that the animation will be false. We now need to tell it to destroy the object, but we want it to play through the sequence before it gets destroyed. So one of the things that's nice about destroy game object is actually an additional argument you can put in here, which is optional, and that is you can put in a delay, and it's measured in seconds. So 1, 1.5, 2, 2.7, whatever you want. Now if you use a decimal, you do have to drop in the letter F. So let's do 1.5 F. So what happens if you've clicked on the object that the script is attached to, if the object's name is cat, go ahead and enable the animator, which will make it play. And then after 1.5 seconds, destroy the object. And then actually we want all three of these things in here. And that will almost be done. Now since the animator is disabled, what you're going to see is you will see the spaceship. So ultimately you'll want to replace that with the image of the resting cat. Maybe it's laying down or something. If game object is equal to ball, else if game object dot name is equal to cat, oh, I see what I did wrong. Actually, I'm surprised this worked. This needs to have an else in here. Sorry about that. So in other words, this was originally after this else. Now we inserted this here. So sorry about that, human error. Okay, so like we said, you don't see the cat until you click on it. Now it meows a couple times and then disappears. So that should do it. That was a pretty easy lesson. So that now you have an option that if you click on something and you want there to be an animation, now you know how to do it. You just disable the animation, the animator in the start section of the click control script, because that's what's attached to all the hidden objects. Other thing that you have to do here is you need to increase this up to 9 remaining items because we added 1. So always make sure you do that. All these that are set into place, if you make a change that corresponds to one of these, make sure you adjust it accordingly. Like right now, time bonus is only 90 seconds. In your game, you probably want it to be like 5 minutes or something. If you do 5 balls instead of 3, make sure you set it to 5, that kind of thing. So we just need to fix backpack now. So I'm thinking the easiest way to do this is because I took a shortcut last time. What I did is I had a conditional statement based onto whether or not this box collider is activated. And what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to modify the disable click script. We're going to have to modify it to check to see if the gem is destroyed. So what we'll do is we'll just create a new variable called I guess it really doesn't matter where we put it. We'll put it into tracking clicks since we said we're using that like a GM object. So public static string gem destroyed, and it's just equal to no to begin with. So gem destroyed is equal to no. What we can do here is we'll just add another one. So we'll do one for the box collider. As far as enabling it. So if the game is paused, if the game is not paused, if game pause is equal to no, and game object dot name is equal, so double equal sign backpack, let's just double check them and see if I used an abbreviation. So if the game is not paused and the game object name is backpack, and that new variable we just created in tracking clicks dot gem destroyed is equal to no, then we do not want it to be enabled because it's already getting enabled up here by default. So now we're course correcting. We're saying that if the game is not paused and the object is the backpack, and gem destroyed is equal to no, then we don't want this enabled. So, of course, the equal sign. But so now we just have to fix click control for what checks the name backpack. Okay, so what happens is we didn't actually name it as true. So we have it set to false, but now we actually need to change it to true. So what we do for that is in click control, we already have what to do if the name is gem. So we just have to add this in. So tracking clicks dot gem destroyed is equal to y. Okay, and then if it's equal to y, we now fix this, because before this was looking just if the box collider had been enabled. Can't do that anymore. So now what we do is we say and tracking clicks dot gem destroyed equals yes. Forgot the extra parenthesis. So doesn't say backpack, can't click on it, click on the gem, backpack's there, and it's clickable. So not too bad. So basically what we were doing before is we were looking to see if the collider box was enabled, but because of the disabling and the re-abling of all collider boxes, that was no longer doable, so we replaced that with the new variable that tracks if the gem has been destroyed. So that should do it for this. If there's any additional questions, just let me know.